The night has a strange way of revealing the truth about a man. Under the bright white lights of the Santiago Bernabéu, where 80,000 hearts beat in unison, Vinícius José Paxá de Oliveira Jr. stands in the center of a storm he once only dreamed of. Cameras flash, children scream his name, and the echo of drums from the Brazilian supporters section trembles through the concrete walls. To most people watching from around the world, Vinícius Jr. is the lightning bolt of Real Madrid, the explosive winger who dances past defenders and shocks stadiums like a sudden crack of electricity. But behind the jerseys, the headlines, the celebrations, and the controversies, there exists another Vinícius, a version the world rarely gets to see. A version shaped not just by football, but by fear, poverty, discipline, and a determination so unbreakable it feels almost supernatural. He didn't grow up in luxury, he grew toward it. He wasn't born into wealth. He had to earn every step of it. Beneath the glamour, beneath the private jets and millionaire mansions, beneath the sponsorship deals and global fame, Vini carries the weight of a childhood where the future wasn't promised, where the difference between being a star and being forgotten often came down to one meal, one decision, one chance. That sense of urgency still burns in him today, even as he cruises through Madrid in a blacked-out Range Rover autobiography, even as he signs deals worth more than his entire childhood neighborhood combined, even as he steps onto the pitch wearing custom Nike Mercurial boots stitched exclusively for him. Because deep down, he remembers what it felt like when football wasn't a job, but a lifeline. People talk about his speed, his dribbling, his explosiveness. They talk about the goals and the celebrations and the rivalries. They talk about the racism he's endured, the pressure he carries, the spotlight that refuses to leave him. But almost nobody talks about what really drives him, the lifestyle he's building, the empire he's constructing brick by brick, investment by investment, decision by decision. That's the part of Vinícius Jr.'s life that exists far from the pitch, behind guarded gates and luxury glass walls, in places where cameras don't go. This is where the future billionaire version of Vini is being built. The first time he touched real money, real life-changing money, he didn't rush to buy a mansion or a car. Instead, he called his father, Mr. Vinicius, a man who used to carry him on his shoulders so he could watch professional games from outside the stadium fences. A man who once walked miles just to give his son a chance to train. When Flamengo signed him at an age most boys still fear the dark, he knew life had changed forever. But when Real Madrid came calling with a deal worth tens of millions, that's when everything transformed. Overnight, a kid from São Gonçalo became one of the most expensive teenagers in football history. But to understand Vinícius Jr.'s lifestyle, you must understand one thing. Before he spent, he saved. Before he flexed, he planned. Before he bought diamonds, he studied financial discipline like an athlete studies movement. Behind closed doors, Vini built a team, not just trainers and agents, but financial strategists, investment managers, and advisors who monitor every euro that flows in and out of his growing empire. He isn't the type to throw money around recklessly. He's the type who wants to know how that money will grow 10 years from now. It's the part of his personality that comes straight from poverty. Once you've lived through legacy, you never want to return to it. And so every luxury he buys, every decision he makes, every business he touches, is a reflection of a man who believes wealth must be protected, not just displayed. Yet when Vinícius does display it, he does it in a way that's impossible to ignore. His car collection alone looks like something pulled from a millionaire's showroom. The Range Rover autobiography isn't even the beginning it, as simply the comfortable daily choice. The real gems sit in climate-controlled garages, a Mercedes-AMG G63, blacked out with custom details, a symbol of power and presence. A Lamborghini Huracan Able Spider, loud enough to shake the pavement when it ignites. An Audi RS7 Performance, tuned to perfection, elegant yet dangerous. And then there's the Ferrari he has been seen with, a machine so stunning you can hear the envy in the voices of fans who catch glimpses of it. But cars are only one slice of the Vini lifestyle. Homes, that's where the empire truly begins. His home in Madrid is more than just a residence. It's a sanctuary. Hidden behind tall hedges and security gates, it features wide glass walls, panoramic views, and architectural lines as sharp as his footwork. Inside, the decor balances modern minimalism with touches of Brazil, warm wood, soft lighting, and memorabilia from the moments that changed his life. A private training area sits near the garden, where he works late into the night when the world sleeps. For him, the mansion isn't just luxury, it's discipline disguised as comfort. Back in Brazil, his properties tell a different story. They are a reminder of where he came from and a symbol of where he intends to go. When he landed his first major paycheck, one of his earliest decisions was to secure homes for his family. Not just one, but multiple. His parents, his siblings, his relatives, everyone who believed in him before the world noticed. Many people talk about buying houses. Vini built peace. He built a foundation strong enough to carry generations. And then there are the investments. The part of his life almost nobody talks about. the part that transforms a millionaire into a future billionaire. Vinicius doesn't just endorse brands. He partners with them. He studies markets. He buys into companies. He owns stakes in tech ventures, entertainment, real estate projects, and youth development programs. His advisors describe him as obsessed with multiplying the future. That's why Nike, EA Sports, Red Bull, and other global giants pay him not just for visibility but for influence. He isn't just a player, he's a brand with gravitational pull. But all the money, the deals, the mansions, the cars, none of it would matter without the performances that fuel everything. And that's the part people still underestimate. During late nights in training centers, when the world is quiet and the lights hum softly overhead, Vinicius works on the smallest technical details. The angle of his knee before acceleration, the coordination between ankle and hip when striking the ball, the timing of his first step to create separation. He studies his opponents like a scientist. He memorizes patterns. He knows which defenders bite on feints, which hesitate on contact, which lose balance on the turn. His explosiveness isn't lucky, it's engineered. There's a reason that when Real Madrid players talk about him, they don't talk about talent alone. They talk about commitment. Modric says he's unstoppable because he never stops. Benzema once told him privately that he had the potential to become one of the greatest wingers in the history of football. In Ancelotti, he sees him as a leader in the making, a player whose energy lifts the entire dressing room. Yet with fame comes noise, with wealth comes pressure, and with success comes enemies. For Vini, criticism has been both a weapon and a motivator. He's faced racism in stadiums, attacks from media, taunts from rival fans. What could have destroyed him only sharpened him. Every insult, every chant, every moment of unfairness has become part of the engine that drives his ambition. And that ambition, that hunger, is what shapes his lifestyle more than any car or mansion ever could. Because Vini isn't just living rich, he's living with purpose. He's living with strategy. He's living like a man building toward a future worth far more than money, a future approaching $200 million and rising. The world often thinks money changes people, but with Vinícius Jr., the truth is different. Money didn't change him. It revealed him. It exposed the layers the world never saw when he was just a skinny kid dribbling barefoot on cracked pavement in São Gonçalo. It exposed the planner inside him, the protector, the dreamer, the relentless worker who believes that opportunity is a responsibility, not a trophy. Once the big contracts came, once the spotlight became permanent, once his face began appearing on billboards across continents, that inner version of Vini only grew sharper. And nowhere is that more visible than in the way he structures his life today, with precision, with control, with intention. He wakes up early, not because he needs to, but because mornings are sacred to him. They're the hours where Madrid feels silent and the world doesn't demand anything. In those quiet moments, he meditates, reviews his training schedule, checks messages from his advisors, and sometimes calls home just to hear familiar voices from Brazil. His home feels like an oasis during these hours, the sun slicing through massive windows, the city still yawning itself awake, and the faint hum of his in-house gym waiting for him downstairs. Everything about his routine is designed for longevity. He trains harder than people know, he rests more seriously than people expect, and he invests more strategically than most footballers ever consider. Behind the scenes, Vini has built one of the youngest but smartest personal management teams in European football. His circle includes a nutritionist who tailors his meals not just for performance but for recovery, a physiotherapist who travels with him, a psychologist who helps him navigate the mental storms of fame, and a financial strategist who tracks global markets, investment opportunities, and long-term wealth pathways. When people look at Vinícius Jr., they see a superstar. But what they don't see is the infrastructure he has built to support that superstardom, an infrastructure that costs millions and returns exponentially more. You see that same intention in his fashion. His wardrobe is a museum of high-end luxury. Louis Vuitton jackets, custom embroidered with his initials, Balmain fits bold enough to shut down a runway, Amiri jeans crafted to perfection, diamond chains that shimmer like they were carved from moonlight. But fashion to Vini isn't just style, it's statement. In Brazil, kids growing up in favelas often feel invisible. Fashion makes you seen. Fashion allows you to own your narrative. Fashion gives you identity in a world that tries to strip it away. So every time Vini walks into a match tunnel wearing an outfit that costs more than his childhood home, it isn't ego, it's representation. It's the kid from São Gonçalo saying, "I made it, and so can you." And yet, the more his star has risen, the more he's had to confront the weight of fame. There is a loneliness that sits quietly behind celebrity, one that money cannot solve. Late nights after games, when adrenaline fades and the stadium roars dissolve into memory, Vini sometimes finds himself sitting alone on the balcony of his Madrid home, staring over the city lights. He doesn't think about goals or trophies in those moments. He thinks about the sacrifices, the pressure, the times he cried silently on plane rides back from hostile away games. He thinks about the racist attacks he has endured, moments that could break most players, but instead hardened him like steel left in fire. Ththose memories don't haunt him, they anchor him. They remind him of the mission he carries, to be not just a footballer, but a symbol of resilience. It's that mission that fuels the philanthropic side of his life. A chapter most fans know shockingly little about. Through the Instituto Vinícius Jr., he funds educational programs in some of Brazil's most underserved communities. He builds tech labs in schools. He funds digital literacy projects. He supplies tablets, computers, mentorship programs, and access to modern tools that many of these kids would never see otherwise. To him, charity isn't a public gesture, it's personal. He knows what it feels like to be gifted a chance. Now he wants to multiply that chance for thousands of others. But philanthropy is only one pillar of the Vinicius empire. The other pillars are business, and he builds them with the same energy he takes to the pitch. One of his early moves was entering real estate. High-end properties in Rio, land purchases on the outskirts of São Paulo, long-term rental apartments in Portugal, even early stakes in commercial developments in Madrid. Some athletes buy cars and watches. Vini buys square meters and ownership percentages. His advisors say he studies real estate the way he studies defenders, analyzing patterns, searching for weaknesses, identifying leverage. Then came tech. Hidden behind the lifestyle, behind the celebrations, behind the football madness, is a young man obsessed with the digital world. He's invested in fintech companies, esports ventures, digital media platforms, and even early-stage AI projects in Brazil. He doesn't brag about it because he doesn't need to. Wealth whispers, it doesn't shout. And Vini Jr.'s wealth is learning to whisper fluently. But perhaps the most interesting piece of his financial future lies in his brand deals. Unlike many athletes who simply sign contracts, Vini negotiates ownership percentages, revenue shares, and long-term equity positions. His partnership with Nike isn't just about boots and campaigns, it's about influence. They treat him like a generational asset. His collaborations with energy drink companies, fashion houses, and global entertainment labels follow the same pattern. Visibility today, ownership tomorrow. That's how you build a $200 million future. Still, for all the planning, all the business, all the luxury, there's one arena where Vinicius becomes his purest self, the football pitch. For him, football is freedom. It's the one place where he doesn't have to be strategic, calculating, or cautious. There he becomes instinct, movement, rhythm, chaos, and beauty interwoven with electricity. When he accelerates past a defender, when he cuts into the box with that signature drop of the shoulder, when he celebrates with joy unfiltered, he looks like a man returning home. And Real Madrid is the home where his legacy is being written. His rise has been meteoric, from raw talent to Champions League hero to global superstar whose name sparks stadium-wide reactions. Kids copy his celebrations. Opponents fear his dribbles. Defenders double up because they know one misstep and he's gone. It's not just ability, it's aura. Inside the training grounds at Valdebebas, the staff describe him as a storm that never ends. Always moving, always asking for the ball, always challenging teammates, always laughing loudly, even after brutal sessions. That energy is contagious. It lifts the mood of the squad, inspires the younger players, and even reawakens veterans. Modric once joked that Vini has enough energy for 5 players. Ancelotti says he's the soul of modern Real Madrid. But with that soul comes enormous expectation. The Spanish press follows every step he takes. Fame is a currency he spends every day without asking, and often without wanting. There have been nights when he wanted to disappear, to breathe without judgment, to walk streets without being recognized. He has learned that privacy is the most expensive luxury for a celebrity, and no mansion, no car, no contract can buy it fully. And yet, he manages it with surprising maturity. He maintains a tight circle. He rarely reveals personal relationships publicly. He chooses carefully who enters his private life. Because he knows that the more you rise, the more people want to see you fall. That's why discipline is everything. And discipline is what has carried him to the life he lives today. The life people see on Instagram, the life fans dream about, the life critics try to taint. The private jets to Miami, the luxury vacations in Fernando de Noronha, the yacht moments in Ibiza with teammates, the designer bags lined up in walk-in closets, the dinners in Michelin-star restaurants, the spontaneous trips to Dubai just to clear his mind. Every moment looks like paradise. But every moment is built on sacrifice the world does not see, and still the best version of Vinícius Jr. hasn't happened yet, because his story is not just about where he is, but where he's going. The trajectory is upward. The momentum is unstoppable. The numbers are rising. And the world is watching a young man quietly shaping himself into a future worth $200 million and beyond. The future is a strange thing. It pulls at some people like gravity, dragging them into a destiny they can't control. But with Vinícius Jr., the future isn't something that happens to him, it's something he builds. Every match, every investment, every decision, every sacrifice is a brick in a structure he intends to climb for the rest of his life. And at only 24, he stands higher than most players ever will. Yet when he looks forward, he doesn't see a career winding down. He sees an empire rising. There are nights when he walks into the Bernabeu long after everyone has left. When the corridors are silent, when the stadium lights dim to a low hum, when the empty seats feel like ghosts of the fans who will return in a matter of hours. He walks onto the pitch in plain clothes, feels the grass under his shoes, and breathes in the cold Madrid air. It's in these moments that he reminds himself who he is becoming. He knows that football has given him millions, but he also knows that football alone won't define his legacy. Legends aren't made only by goals, they're made by what they build when the cheering stops. That's why Vini pays attention to the players who came before him. Not just the ones who succeeded, but also the ones who lost everything. He studies their stories the same way he studies match footage. He knows who invested wisely, who trusted the wrong people, who lived too fast, who ran out of time. Those cautionary tales are part of what keeps him disciplined. Money can disappear faster than a defender trying to stop him on the left wing. But knowledge, planning, and vision, those are the real engines of wealth. And that's why his team works tirelessly to structure his fortune in ways that grow even when he sleeps. People see snapshots on Instagram, the penthouse views in Madrid, the VIP lounges in airports, the holiday villas overlooking turquoise water, the diamond-encrusted watch that glints like a star on his wrist. They see the yacht parties with teammates, the beach photos with friends, the private jet interiors stitched with custom leather, the designer outfits that turn tunnels into runways. But what they don't see is the architecture behind it all. The contracts negotiated down to the last detail, the meetings with financial firms, the nights spent reviewing portfolios, the discipline required to maintain the image and the reality. His Madrid mansion, the one fans speculate about constantly, is one of his greatest investments, not just in comfort, but in creative vision. The house is built like a gallery. Open spaces, ambient lighting, a subtle blend of modern Spanish architecture and Brazilian warmth. His living room is dominated by panoramic windows that turn the entire city into a living painting. His swimming pool glows neon blue at night, reflecting off white stone walls in a way that looks like a movie scene. And far from the flashy aesthetics is his sanctuary, the private gym with state-of-the-art equipment, recovery chambers, cryotherapy areas, and technology imported from the same training centers used by NBA and NFL elites. Footballers dream of playing like stars. Vini trains like one. And then there's the second home, the one in Rio that he treats like a spiritual anchor. It's where he returns to feel grounded, to breathe Brazilian air, to hear Portuguese spoken with the comfort of familiarity. It's where he reconnects with the people who knew him before the world knew him. The house itself is luxurious, but the memory behind it is what makes it priceless. He built it so his family would never again face the struggles they once endured. He built it so every sibling, every cousin, every relative could point to it and say, this is what belief looks like when it succeeds. But for all his wealth, for all his success, for all the glamour around him, Vini still carries something fragile inside him, something human. The fear of losing what he's built, the fear of failing, the expectations that grow louder every year. The fear of injury, of scandal, of missteps, of the pressures that every superstar privately understands. That fear doesn't cage him, it fuels him. It keeps him humble. It keeps him awake on nights when his body begs for rest. It pushes him to rise early, to train harder, to correct the mistakes even after resounding victories. And if there's one thing the world still misunderstands about him, it's this: Vinícius Jr. isn't arrogant. He's expressive, he's emotional. He plays with the joy and fire of someone who nearly lost his dream before it began. That passion turns into celebration, into dances, into moments that irritate rivals and ignite fans. But behind every gesture is the heart of a boy who once had nothing but a ball and a universe of hope. The storms he has faced, particularly the horrific racist attacks, shaped him in ways deeper than football. They made him a spokesman for justice, a voice for equality, a symbol of resistance for millions around the world. He didn't ask for that role, but he grew into it with maturity and grace that few athletes his age possess. And with every chant, every battle, every press conference, every tearful interview, he forged an identity that transcends sport. He became more than a footballer. He became a cultural force. Real Madrid sees it too. They see the future global icon inside him. They see the leadership. They see the marketability. They see the rising value. And they know that his presence stabilizes the post-Ronaldo era, while Bellingham, Rodrigo, and others shape the new Madrid core. Vini remains its heartbeat, the spark that ignites tempo, rhythm, and fear in opponents. He carries the same electricity Cristiano once carried, but with a Brazilian warmth that makes fans adore him differently. Ronaldo was power, Vini is flair. Ronaldo was calculation, Vini is freedom. And in that duality, Madrid has found a new superstar era. Outside football, companies chase him like gravity. Brands want his face, his aura, his influence. His social media reach is gold. His name trends with ease. His presence boosts sales instantly. That's why his endorsement deals reach levels most athletes can only dream of. And those deals with Nike, EA, JBL, OneFootball, Red Bull, and others are not typical contracts. Many include performance bonuses, image rights structures, equity opportunities, and long-term royalties. It's the kind of structure that turns a millionaire into a mogul. Fans ask how much he makes. The real answer is staggering. His annual income is a mix of Real Madrid's salary, Champions League bonuses, sponsorship deals, equity profits, and investment returns. And that's why experts project his net worth trajectory toward $200 million and beyond. Not because of football alone, but because he is building wealth in every direction. Football pays him today. Business will pay him forever. And perhaps the greatest part of this entire story is that Vinícius Jr is still at the beginning. His prime is still approaching. His influence is expanding. His market value is rising. His brand is globalizing. His lifestyle is evolving from luxury to legacy. Everything he has done in the past 5 years is merely foundation. Everything he will do in the next 10 will determine whether he becomes not just a superstar, but an icon. There will come a day when he scores a goal in a Champions League final and the world realizes it is no longer a surprise. A day when he lifts a Ballon d'Or and the tears on his face tell a story money can't buy. A day when his business empire outruns even his sporting achievements. A day when he returns to Brazil not just as a hero, but as a builder of futures for tens of thousands of children who dreamed the same dream he once chased. And on that day, when the cameras flash, when the applause explodes, when the world celebrates the journey of the boy from São Gonçalo, who became one of football's greatest stories, one truth will echo long after the noise fades: Vinícius Jr didn't just build a career, he built a life, he built an empire. He built a future worth hundreds of millions, crafted with intention, resilience, discipline, and heart. And the world is only beginning to witness what that future will become.